Welcome to the DMF. I am your host, Justin Yance, and today my guest is Nachela Knox. She is a director, a writer, an actress, and I suggest you checking out her film called Couch Party on Tubi. This is part one. Enjoy. Okay, I have a guest with me today. I have Nachela Knox. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well. I mean, it's kind of dreary today, you know. Normally the sun's always out, and it's like, oh, it's a muggy day.
Glad it's finally cold because I hate having to turn my air on, then my heat on, then my air on, and then my heat on. So
Same here. I know. It's like up, turn it up, turn it on. Yeah, you were going back and forth. So you grew up in Charlotte. Talk a little bit about that.
yeah, so I am originally from Charlotte, North Carolina. I always say Charlotte, but if we want to be very specific, I grew up in Cornelius, North Carolina, if you ever heard
That
of
was
that, or in the Lake Norman area. So
yeah.
my entire family is from there. They're still there. My grandma, my aunt, my cousins, my uncles, we all probably live within like 10, 15 minutes of each other. So we're very close
Wow.
growing up. But yep, I grew up there, was there all the way up until I went to school in Greensboro, to college in Greensboro.
Yeah. So growing up in Charlotte, you and having, relatives all around it, did they see the growth that Charlotte has, I mean, it's changed. I mean, you talk to people before, it was just a little town, and then it's
Oh, it's crazy. Like if you ask like my mom or my grandma and you tell them to tell you about the area that we live in, they'll tell you
yeah,
about there were like fields and they used to walk to school and do all these things. Literally, even going to Cornelius today, they've added like a whole arts center, which is crazy because it's a beautiful center, but it's
yeah,
literally in right in the middle of downtown Cornelius. It looks like a little city now. Cornelius was a very kind of like small town, rural area. And now they've added like that, and there's all these new apartments and new restaurants. Like it literally looks like a little city now. And when I was growing up, it was very much so like a little small country town.
yeah. Yeah, it's funny when I'd be in New York and I tell them I was from Charlotte. Some of them I could tell were like picturing like a barn or something. I'm like,
Yeah,
I don't live in that. It's a metropolitan city. It's just like any other city.
yes, it's changed a lot though. Like they've
Yeah,
added so much, and they're continuing to add things. I feel like kind of running out of space here, but they keep building. So
yeah. Well, I think our uptown, our like downtownish area with like the buildings and everything is probably one of the cleanest cities I've ever seen. Like it's like
yeah,
how is it this
to
clean?
New York to New Jersey. So it
Yeah,
definitely is compared to places like that.
yeah. So, were you interested in the arts as a kid?
Yes. So I have literally wanted to be an actress ever since I was probably like 4 or 5. I actually started out acting. So when I was little, I used to act in my church's plays. I was always in those. I did acting all throughout grade school. So middle school, high school, I was a theater kid. I did all of the shows there. Also had my mom driving me all around Charlotte for any and every acting opportunity. As I'm sure you know, they have
Yeah.
like I think it was more popular then, but you had like all kind of like the little scams going on, like,
Oh
hey,
yeah.
here, we'll put you on Disney Channel and just pay me,
Yeah.
$6,000, whatever it is.
Yeah, or the yes, I went through that too. Yeah, you go through and it's like, oh, come to our little like retreat down here and you'll meet so and so, so and so, and so and so. And it's like, well, you're not really meeting any of them. You're spending 2 minutes with them, and it's like, how are they, it's such a yeah, it's so elemented in scam. And then they want you to take their classes and do, we still have some of those in Charlotte where, they are like, "Oh, take our classes. Now pay this." And I was like, "Huh,
Exactly.
did you I guess you didn't get the memo that you're supposed to only get paid when I get paid."
Yeah. I feel like everybody who, doesn't have maybe like a traditional upbringing of like acting kind of goes through
Yeah.
that. So that was me and my mom. Like we were running around everywhere, and I would get like super excited because we would go through the whole process, and they would be like, "Oh yeah, she's great. Just pay all of this money." And then when we got to that part, like we could never do it. Like we
Yeah,
couldn't do it. So
yeah.
I did that, and then I actually did take when I was 15. I got my
Mm,
first job. I was a
mm.
lifeguard. So I was lifeguarding so I could pay for my acting classes. So I did that. And then yeah, then I went to school. I went to UNCG to pursue my degree in acting. But of course I ended up changing it to film. But yes, it has always definitely been a part of my life for sure.
So, backtracking a little bit, who did you study with, when you were taking acting classes? Is this still in the Greensboro area, or is this in Charlotte?
This was in Charlotte.
Okay.
I believe his name, oh my goodness, what was his name? It wasn't like one of the like fancy acting studios. Like it was probably kind of a scam too, but
Yeah.
I used to
That
take
I
the classes. I think his name was like I think it was David Barber, something
mhm,
like that. It was
I don't
right
know
off
him.
Ibola Road.
Yeah, that seems like where they all are. It's either
Yeah,
Tyvola or Noda, they're all
yeah. I mean, for that age, I think it gave me a great foundation
Yeah,
versus somebody coming in with no knowledge at all. Like at least
yeah,
if you threw the terminology at me, I would know what you were talking about because of those classes. Now, did it
yeah.
make me like the best actor ever?
No.
Probably
It's
not.
it's 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 all it's awful. They don't teach you sometimes they teach you more bad habits than good habits.
Yeah, but I mean, I didn't have any like traditional training outside of what I
Same
learned
here.
in like high school. So, I mean, it was to me, it was a great experience. I don't regret it. I think I met some pretty cool people and it made me more engaged because I was then getting that time outside of school. So,
Yeah. So what plays did you do in high school and stuff? I'm curious.
yes, so my very first play was when I was in middle school. I played the lead. It's kind of funny. So, we
Yeah.
did the play The Jungle Book, but it's not
Mhm.
the Disney version of The Jungle Book. It's
Yeah.
like the original version of Jungle Book. Can you guess who I played? It's really funny.
Well, you were the lead, right? Um, I don't know. I'm not as familiar with the book as I should be. I know the
It's pretty much the same. Like the characters are the same. The premise is just a little different.
did you play like one of the animals?
Yeah.
Okay. Um, my gut says Ka.
No, I was
No.
Baloo.
Baloo. Okay.
Is
Wow.
lots of
That's
fun. It's
funny.
kind of hilarious now. Like I wish I had a picture, but because it wasn't the traditional version of Jungle Book,
Yeah.
it's like the makeup and everything was completely different. They didn't necessarily look
Yeah.
like animals. I don't know. My
Yeah.
whole face was like painted like yellow. It's hilarious. Like
I I think when I was like 4, I played a sheep in a yeah, like a church production thing, and I just fell asleep.
that
I don't know if I could consider that I'll put that on my resume. It's like, "I played a sheep when I was 4. I
hey,
slept."
I bet you were one of the best sheep up there too.
Best sheep. I had, like, no that didn't come till, like, later, So, like, what was kinda the thing that, like, gave you, like, the acting bug? Like, was there something specific?
So I was never really into like sports or anything like
Mm,
that when I was growing up, but I always loved movies. Always loved movies, always loved TV. And one of my favorite TV shows was That's So Raven. Love,
mm,
love, love Raven Simone. At the time, I thought she was like very relatable,
mm,
as a woman, as a black woman. And she was also like, she's always been very curvy. And so have I.
mm,
So she was very relatable. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, look at her. Like, she's on TV, she's killing it. I feel like I can do that. So I would copy like commercials. Like if there was a certain commercial that came on, I would start to like practice those commercials until I knew the commercial. And then I would like
Yeah.
make up my own stuff. And so anytime we got the opportunity, my family is very religious, like we're all Christians. So we would go to church every Sunday. My mom would always like involve me in like the choir or like, the youth group. So then there will always come a time during like holiday season where they were doing Christmas plays and Easter plays. So it was kind of one of those things where you knew you were going to participate, but you had like kids like myself who really wanted to participate. So like they would sign up to get like the most lines or whatever else. And that was a skill that, the kids around me didn't have. Like they were struggling to learn their lines or they didn't care about it. So they were like, whatever. But for me, I took it very seriously, and that was like
Yeah.
my moment to shine, I guess. So anytime we had those performances and people were like, "Oh my God, like, you did so good," or "She's so good," and then it made
Yeah.
me believe, like, okay, like I think I could be really good at this. Like I think I could pursue this, and I did.
So, how would you go about memorizing lines as a young actor?
As a young actor, my thing was like I would write. I would write them
Yeah.
down like over and
Uh,
over. Just keep writing them over and over again, keep saying it over and over again. As I got older, what works for me now is to record myself. Like I'll record myself and, I'll say the other part. And then I just play that back while I do things that I don't think about. So like while
yeah.
I'm washing dishes or, doing laundry or in the car, I've learned lines literally on the way there because that's how I just learn it that
Yeah.
way. Like, I'll put it on my, car speaker, and I just play it like a song,
Yeah.
and it just sticks in my head.
Yeah, that's kinda what I do. I'll write note cards, and then and then I'll listen to it back like you said. I'll make one where I put the answer, I put, like, my response to it, so, like, if I don't know it, I'll have a blank, and then I'll have the answer. So I'm hearing it as well as saying it, as well as writing it, and that's the best way to
Exactly.
do it. That's great that you're able to do that. So, you go to UNCG.
Mhm.
What, talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so, I went to UNCG, so I graduated high school in 2016, and I went to UNCG with the hopes of pursuing my degree in acting, or as they say, the BFA in acting. At the
Mhm.
time, the BFA at UNCG was the only like major per se that you could have that you would have like intense acting training. And that's what I wanted
Yeah,
because they have the BFA and then they have the BA, but the BA is more like a general degree. You kind of work everywhere in the theater. You maybe
yeah,
take like 2, 3 acting classes, but it's not intensive. You had to audition to get into the BFA. And when I was at UNCG, that audition didn't happen until the end of the first semester. So what happens is everybody goes in as a BA, and those who are going to audition, prepare for that audition. And if you get in, you would start the second semester as a BFA. Well, I thought that, I've literally been doing acting my whole life. This is something that
yeah.
I didn't just start doing. And I am the type of person where I don't necessarily, it's really weird, but like I don't like to repeatedly, like, I'd, like, rehearse. That is really weird.
Mhm. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Like, I like to or sometimes if I rehearse, I feel like I'm not, giving it my all, but as soon as I step out on the stage or the camera's on, it's like a light
Yeah,
switch. Okay, it's go time. I had an acting teacher, like, he used to get on me for that all the time, but so the BFA was, like, very important to me. So that was one thing that I literally rehearsed all the time. Like, me and my acting friends, we would go to the studio and we would be rehearsing together, like, I was staying up all night. I was like, this is at the time it felt like that
yeah,
was life. Like if this doesn't happen, my life will be over.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I went to audition for the BFA and I didn't get in. And I was like, what do you mean I didn't get in? Like I was like, did not understand. I was like
What
crying.
did you audition with?
What did I audition with? I think Oh my goodness. I think it's from, I can't remember the name of the play, but I know in the scene I was like
Yeah.
talking to my husband. It was so long ago.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
After this ends, I'll probably remember it.
Yeah.
But I do know it was UNCG's first time having like an African American scene to choose from. I do remember that. They made a big announcement about it.
So you
So
got to do a scene.
yeah, you do a scene.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
They didn't make you do a monologue. Oh, wow.
they give you a scene to do, and you do it with one of the current BFA students.
Is it fences?
No, it wasn't
No, it's
fences.
in fences? Okay.
No, it was, oh my,
Um,
I remember what the scene was about. I remember like who my scene
yeah.
partner was, but I can't tell you the name of the play.
Okay. Okay, cool. But yeah, so you do that. So did they give you a partner to do it with, or are you just doing it like you would audition for
You
like
learn the
something?
scene on your own,
Mm-hmm.
and then you come into the space, so you don't like, you know where the space is going to be at, but you
Mm,
don't know like how they're going to have it set up, so you kind of have to improvise, but you need
yeah.
to be able to, react and respond to the other actor, but stay in the scene. So it could be challenging because you don't know who your scene partner is going to be, and you don't know the type of actor that they are, and the type
Mm-hmm.
of acting that UNCG teaches, or the style of acting can be different for somebody who didn't have a traditional upbringing in acting. So you like the levels were so different. At that time, I didn't know, should I match that level? Should I bring my
Yeah.
down? Like I didn't know, because it was just so open ended. They just wanted to see
Yeah.
what you do.
Yeah,
So,
that can be frustrating. You get somebody who just comes on stage and does something completely. It's like, right,
and
okay.
that happened, like, there would be actors who, their scene partner did something they weren't expecting, and it threw them off, and now they don't know their lines because you don't know who your scene
Yeah.
partner is. So,
Yeah.
I
Right.
mean,
That's
to this
fine.
day, I don't think there's anything differently I could have done on the
Yeah.
audition. I'm very happy with the audition, will always be, and because one of the things I learned was acting. I think acting, when I was coming from like high school, was like this nice, fun environment where we all hold hands and it's
Yeah.
great. But in, the real world, or the adult
Yeah.
world, or the industry, however you want to word it, that's not it.
Yeah.
There's so many other factors that go in determining whether somebody's going to get a role. And a lot of times that's not based off of just, oh, are they good enough? Like in
Yeah.
my UCG, when I asked one of my professors, like,
Yeah.
why didn't I get in? I would really like to
Yeah.
know. You could re audition if you wanted to, like the next year. And
Yeah.
she told me, now I keep in mind, when I was in my freshman year of school, I was like 60 pounds heavier than what I am now.
Yeah.
And told me to my face, she was like, Nachela, we think that you're very talented. Your audition was great. However, I think if you, lose some weight and come back and apply, we'll probably let
Really?
you.
Really? That's their no.
Yeah, like, and at the time I was like, what? Like,
Yeah.
craziness. But because I didn't re-audition, I
Yeah.
decided that, I did not want to re-audition, because I think seeing all the politics behind that department, and I had my best friend, or one of my best friends, was actually, he did get in. So he was kind
Mm.
of like telling me everything that was going on. And I was like, yeah, that doesn't seem like an
Yeah.
environment I would be in.
That's how I felt when I went to the neighborhood playhouse. Because you have to, in order to get to the second year, you have to do the first year. So
Mhm.
you're there every day till like, 4, it's a full day job. And then
Mhm.
at the end of the year, you find out whether you get in or not. And I don't get in. And I'm just like, my life is over. I remember going to a coffee shop down in New York. I can see it right here. I'm just like crying and upset. I'm like, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, okay, well, so then I just decide I'm gonna go to Lee Strasberg and go to their competition and say but then I actually my mother, was so upset. She called the school and found out as I asked them, like, "Why didn't my son get in?" I mean, normally you don't do that, and, apparently it's just like a numbers game. They said if there's, like, one more person, I woulda got in, and there really was no, reason why or not. They said, like, "All your teachers liked you," or whatever, but I knew what it was. The main teacher who chose didn't like me, or he didn't I think he could tell I was smart. And
Right.
he don't want that. He wants a bunch of people who are just gonna follow him and, not ask questions, and I would have asked questions, and I just but it ended up being a good thing because I went to, Lee Strasberg and everything. But the reason I'm telling you is this, I know exactly how you feel
Mm,
when something like that happens. You just feel like, "What do I do?" It's just like you just sit down and you're just like that. But anyways, but you have a good start to your story, so
yeah.
yeah.
So, I mean, after I didn't get in and I was, like, at home questioning life and what I was
Yeah.
gonna do with my life because I knew I wasn't gonna drop out, it wasn't that dramatic. But I also was like, I don't play sports. I don't wanna
Mm.
be a doctor. I don't like math. I don't wanna be why am I what am I gonna do? So, the closest thing that I could find to acting was film. Now, UNCG does have a film department, so I was like, "You know what? I'm gonna change my major to film, and Imma just make that my thing, and we'll just
Yeah.
kinda see where it goes." Well, I was directing, some of my friends' plays, like, we did a play, it was actually featured in the Carolinian, it was called,
Mm.
New Black Mass. So I directed that play. And people would tell me, like, Nachela, you're a good director. You're a good director. You should direct. You should direct. And I was like,
Yeah.
no, I'm an actor. I want to be an actress. So no, I'm not really gonna do that. I ran from it from the longest time. I remember literally being in the film classes, and anytime they'd be like, "Oh, we need somebody to, come be on camera," I'd be like, "Me, that's me. That's I was literally like, "No, I'm an actor. I'm just getting a film degree," but
Yeah.
I couldn't run from it, but for so long, I got invited to act in my first, short film. It was called Getaway,
Yeah. I
and I played
watched it. Well, I watched the clips that you had of it on there. Yeah.
Yes, I played the main character. I had a lot of fun there, and I just kinda, learned more about, film and, being, like, a film actor, and from there, I was hooked, so, once I got into the community, like, the film community of Greensboro, I started doing more and more of those roles, and then people would ask me my opinion, and because, a lot of the people that I was working with, they didn't necessarily have a degree in film, like, they were
Mm.
self-taught, but I had that knowledge. So I'd be like, "Hey, this is this, that's that." And they'd be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I didn't know that. You should direct." And I'm like, No." But they called it CMF, which is like Campus Movie Fest. They used to come around to the colleges and they would give you a camera, they would give you everything you needed to make a short film. You make the
Wow.
short, then they judge them at the school. Whoever wins goes to Atlanta. So the first time I had been in other people's CMF films, but I had never tried to do one on my own. And one of my classmates came to me, they're like, "We should do CMF and you should write the script." And I was like, "I should write the script? Like, me write a script? What?" So I ended up doing it. I wrote Hidden Agenda. So I wrote Hidden Agenda and I also played the main character. I acted in it as well. That was my first time writing, my first time, being in my own script
Yeah.
or my own production, and I also directed it as well. That won at UNCG for the best film, best short film, and they also won best actress, and then they screened that film in Atlanta. So, and when that happened, I was like, "Okay, we can't really run from this anymore. Like, this
Yeah.
is just, your thing, and that's okay."
Yeah.
So that's where director Nachela was born, and We've been there ever since.
Yeah. Now the getaway, that's or getaway, sorry.
Mm.
Um, that's where you it starts off with you guys are like at you're like having lunch,
Mhm.
whatever there yeah. Yeah, you kinda reminded me a little bit of, the way you were dressed, that movie Set It Off. You kinda look like, Queen Latifah a little bit there.
Yeah, I think that's what they were going for. Like, I literally just had happened to have my hair braided back,
Yeah,
and, Adrian comes up to me, he's like, "I think, you should play this part in my short film. It
yeah,
wasn't supposed to be a woman, but, you got this going on, and we put you in a suit, it'll give, like, Queen Latifah vibes," and I'm like,
yeah,
"Okay." So,
yeah,
yes, I get that a lot. They either look like her or people say her or,
yeah.
Jill Scott. I get that one too.
That the way you're dressed now, you look different, but, like, in that film, though, yeah, I can see the, I can see the the comparisons. Like, that jumped out at me, he's like, "Oh, it's kinda like Set It Off."
Exactly. That was
Yeah,
like, super fun. It was
yeah,
hilarious. People who knew me, like, growing up, I was never really, like, a big like, I don't really
yeah,
like, I swear, but I never swear that much. So,
yeah, yeah,
like, see me in a film and, like, every other word was a curse word, people were like, "Who was
yeah.
that?"
Who was that? And then that's the best time. Um, so yeah, so you do Hidden Agenda, and so you write and direct it. So talk a little bit about, the process of that, like where that idea came from.
Where did Hit It Again to come from? It's a great question. I think at the time I think that was right around the time when the movie Acrimony came out. It's the Tyler Perry film with,
Okay, yeah.
Taraji P. Henson. I think that's when that movie came out. It was either before that or after that, but it was in the
Yeah,
same and I, like, really liked that movie. That's probably one of my favorite Tyler Perry films. I just
yeah,
thought it was very interesting. I thought her character was very interesting, and it just kinda made me think, like, like, what would a woman do or, like, a woman that's, kinda crazy, like, how far would she take it if she knew that, her husband or her boyfriend was cheating on her? Like, how can we flip that? And it just kinda came out that way.
interesting, interesting. I like the lighting of it. I like the dark, subtle, the reds and everything. Was that something like is that something that you wanted to do with that red color? Like, to talk a little bit about how you shot it.
So it was written that way. So when I wrote it, I literally wrote it as, the character being in the dark, like just illuminated by candles, drinking. And my DP, when we got together, we were looking at it and we were like, like how can we make this more interesting? And because we wanted it to be dark, but we didn't want it to be so dark that you couldn't see me. And then it was
Mhm.
red normally has that kind of mood of, like, evil or, like, something's off. It also
Yeah,
that is seductive at the same time. So we were like, "Okay, let's make it dark, but, like, let's throw some red in here so it gives that mood." And so when we had the camera on the slider, you see me kinda, like, pouring the drink, and it just kinda, like, sets this whole mood. If I could go back and do it, of course, I have way more knowledge
yeah.
now than I had then.
That's how we all are, you look at
Yeah.
it's like, "Oh, I could have done that better."
Yeah.
Uh.
To shown, like I would have liked to have shown April how she figured out he was cheating on her. I think I we didn't do that in the short film.
Yeah,
I would have liked to have done it because it would have shown that character switch a little
yeah.
bit
Well, I
more.
mean, it's hard with a short film because you can't be too long, and you can't be too short, and you've got to explain things that have happened where you can't really, with a film, you could show, like, a flashback, you could do this. It's all gotta be kind of, fast. There's that film, I was listening to this actress, she was talking about Ex Machina, and there's this part where, like, in the very beginning of the movie, you already see that, like, he's won this contest. They're flying over you're flying there, you're flying over this place, and the helicopter pilot is explaining. He's like, when are we, she's asking, when are we going to get there? He's like, you're already on it. So you've already established with that he's won a contest and that this guy is obviously very wealthy. And just those like 2 pages of it, you know. So it's interesting. It's interesting what you could do. I don't know how I got on that. Okay, that about does it for part one of my interview with Nachela Knox. I hope you enjoyed it. I want to thank her personally. As always, you can find me at Justin Yachts. Please like, share, and subscribe, and consider checking out the YouTube channel. And I will see you next time on the DMF.